What's up, guys? It's Teague with Battle City Games, and I'm back today with another deck profile for y'all. Today, we're going to be looking at Infernoble Knights for the April 2021 format. I think this is a great deck that is actually very competitive right now, and can definitely win you a locals, a remote duel, even something like an extravaganza. I think a lot of people are actually sleeping on this deck a little bit since we did lose True Kings of All Calamity on the last ban list, but this deck can still put up some crazy boards even without True King. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive on into it. We're going to move the extra deck out of the way here and get started with the main deck. So first up is going to be 3 Infernoble Knight Renaud. He is a level 1 monster that we can special summon from our hand if we control a Fire Warrior. And when we do special summon him that way, he is treated as a tuner monster. Also, when he's special summoned, we can add 1 Fire Warrior monster or 1 equip spell from our graveyard or banish zone back to our hand. He's going to act as one of our best extenders and really allow us to reverse search some of our power cards. Moving on from there, we do have 3 Infernoble Knight Oliver. He is another one of our extenders. He's a Fire level 4 Warrior tuner monster who can be special summoned by discarding 1 Fire Warrior or 1 equip spell from our hand or face up field to the graveyard. When special summoned that way, he does become a level 1 tuner, but again, he's just acting as one of our extenders, and he does also have the bonus ability that when he's in our graveyard, we can equip him to a monster, and that monster cannot be destroyed by card effects. Moving on from there, we have probably our best starter in the deck, which is going to be Neospace Connector. When Neospace Connector is normal summoned, we can special summon 1 Neospatian monster from our deck. That's really all you need to know because that's the primary purpose of this card in the deck. Moving on from there, we have triple Immortal Phoenix Gearfried. Some people like to play this at 2, or I've even seen some lists go with 1 copy. But I think that Gearfried is such an important part of our inboard, as well as a great way to protect ourselves from something like Nibiru, that we definitely want to see him as much as possible in our opening hand, which is why we go with 3. His ability is that he can be special summoned by banishing an equip spell from our field or graveyard, and then when a monster effect is activated, we can send 1 equip spell from the field to the graveyard to negate that effect. He also has the bonus ability that when he declares an attack, we can equip 1 monster on the field to him as an equip spell that gives him 500 attack. This is not a targeting effect, so it does also make for a great way to out something like a Dragoons that our opponent has established. And again, I think he's just one of the most important cards to make sure we don't get hit with a Nibiru mid-combo, and that's why we go ahead and play him at 3. Moving on from there, we have triple Super Quantum Red Lair. Red Lair is just one of our extenders for the deck. If we control no monsters, we can special summon him, and of course he is a Fire Warrior monster. Again, he's just one of our starters or extenders that we want to use to go ahead and get into our Needle Fiber by getting a monster and a tuner monster on board. That's why we play him at 3, because we want to maximize our odds of opening him. Moving on to our 2-ofs, we have 2 Fire Flint Lady. This is another extender. If we control a warrior monster, we can special summon her. Again, she's great because she doesn't require a Fire Warrior monster, so in the event that we have something like Neospace Connector on board, we can still special summon her to go ahead and get into our Isolde. That's it for the 2-ofs, just the 2 Fireflint Ladies. For our 1-ofs, we have 1 Infernoble Knight Ogier, which even though we only play 1, it is actually one of the best Noble Knights for us to open up with. When she is normal summoned, we can send any Fire Warrior monster from our deck to the graveyard. And then there is also the bonus ability that when she is equipped to a monster, that monster cannot be targeted with card effects. So ending with a board with her equipped to any one of our monsters gives us a really great added layer of protection for that board. Moving on from there, we have the 1 Infernoble Knight Astolfo. Again, Astolfo is another extender. Kind of the theme of this deck is to play a lot of extenders to make sure you always get into your ideal board. We can summon Astolfo by banishing 1 Fire Warrior monster from our hand or graveyard. Unfortunately, he is not a tuner, but it is still a way to get a body on board. in order to get into our Isolde if we open up no other ideal monsters. Moving on from there, we start to get into some of our bricks that we have to play. First up is going to be Secret 6 Samurai Gimba. This is just our tuner of choice to summon off of the Isolde. It works because he is a Fire Warrior monster, so in worst case scenarios, we do have other uses for him as well. Moving on, we have our 1 Neospatian Aqua Dolphin. Not the worst card to open up with because you can still summon it and get a look at your opponent's hand, but this is just here to help us get through any hand traps. If your opponent is trying to steal something like an Ash Blossom or a Ghost Bell, you can just go ahead and take a look at their hand, rip that out, and know what you're going to be working against. Moving on, we have our 1 Despot 001. This is the card we will be summoning out off of our Needle Fiber in order to further extend our plays. Despot 001 has the effect that anytime 2 or more machine monsters are summoned at the same time while he is in the graveyard, we can special summon him back to the board. Keep in mind that is not a once per turn effect, which is why we will be abusing it as much as possible. Moving on from there, we have probably our worst brick to draw, which is Mecha Phantom Beast Cult Wing. When Cult Wing is special summoned, we can summon 2 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens to our board, which are level 3. And then Cult Wing gains the levels of all other Mecha Phantom Beast tokens on the board. So we do have to do some careful synchroing when we have those tokens on board in order to get Cult Wing to the level we want. But again, this is just an amazing extender that is not once per turn, so if we do have the ability to summon Cult Wing back multiple times, we can keep extending our combos further and further. That's going to do it for the monsters. Now for the hand traps, we are playing 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring as our only hand trap. We are a combo deck, so we really want to minimize the number of bricks in our opening hand. And if we're going first, Ash Blossom is technically a brick. But there are some decks where you can't afford to have 0 hand traps. And so we just decided to go ahead and play the best one, in my opinion, which is Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. That's going to do it for all of the monsters. Now moving on to the spell cards, we have triple Heritage of the Chalice. Heritage of the Chalice lets us add 1 Noble Knight monster or 1 Noble Arms card from our deck to our hand. So that's going to search our Renaud, our Oliver, and it's also going to be able to search one of our equip spells as well. It also has the ability that if a equip spell is destroyed, if a Noble Knight monster equipped with a Noble Arms equip spell is destroyed by battle and sent to our graveyard while it's in our graveyard, we can go ahead and add it back to our hand. Again, that's not going to come up too often, but it is important to remember for those situations where it does arrive. Next up is going to be our triple Living Fossil. This lets us, it's an equip spell that lets us target 1 level 4 or lower monster in our graveyard, special summon it, and equip it with the card. That card does get banished when Living Fossil leaves the field, or when it leaves the field, but we don't really care about that, which again just makes it better to continue to extend our plays. Moving on from there, we have 3 Infernoble Arms Durindal. Durindal lets us equip it to a monster. While equipped, we can add 1 level 5 or lower Fire Warrior monster from our deck to our hand, and then destroy Durindal. So this is just another one of our extenders. We equip it to whatever monster, it doesn't matter, and then we use it to search something like our Renaud or our Oliver to continue on with our plays. And again, like I said, it is searchable by Heritage of the Chalice since it is a Noble Arms card. Now moving on to our one-of spells, we have 1 Divine Sword Phoenix Blade. This can be added back to our hand from our graveyard by banishing 2 warrior monsters. So this is one of the equip cards we are always going to send off of Isolde in case we need to use it to trigger our Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles. We always have access to an equip spell. Moving on, we have 1 Different Dimension Reincarnation. This is usually one of the other equip cards we choose to send off of Isolde. It lets us special summon a monster from our banish zone by discarding a card. Again, it acts as an extender. If we need to get another monster on our board to keep our combos going, we can grab one of the monsters that we banished off of Divine Sword Phoenix Blade. Moving on to a tech card that I like to play for our inboard, it's going to be Metal Silver Armor. And what this does is, as long as we control a monster equipped with the card, our opponent cannot use the effect of a spell card, trap card, or monster card that specifically targets a monster, except for the equipped monster. So they have to target the monster equipped with this card, which comes up when we have our Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles on board, to essentially give them no option to target monsters. And that does include their own, so it can definitely hurt decks such as Virtual World that need to target their cards to trigger their own effects. Moving on from there, we have the 1 reinforcement of the army. This is a warrior-based deck, so this gives us access to pretty much every card in our deck outside of Immortal Phoenix Gearfried. And the last card we're playing is going to be the single Called by the Grave. We are a combo deck, so we do want to avoid getting hit by cards such as Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring whenever possible. Although, to be fair, this deck can easily play through 1 to 2 hand traps without much issue, so it's not the end of the world if you don't open up this card. That's going to do it for the main deck, guys. Now we are going to move on to the extra deck. Starting with the Synchros, we have the 1 Herald of Arclight. This is our level 4 Synchro monster that is primarily going to act as one of our negates that we end on. It does also have the ability that if a spell card, trap card, or monster effect is activated, we can tribute it, negate the activation, and destroy that card. And then also any monster sent from the hand or main deck to the graveyard is banished. Once again, that effect does not come up too often, but it is important to remember that it's there just in case. Moving on, we have 1 Underworld Fighter Balmung. Balmung is one of our crucial combo pieces, as having him on board and then destroying him with Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles effect will allow us to special summon 1 level 4 lower monster back from our graveyard, which in most cases will be that Mecha Phantom Beast Cult Wing, to get 2 more tokens and continue extending our combos. Moving on, we have our 1 level 5 in Infernoble Knight Captain Roland. This is a mid-combo piece. He's not going to stay on the board, but it's important when he's summoned to go ahead and activate his effect, so that at the end of the turn we can send a Fire Warrior monster from our deck to graveyard, and then add in a Fire Warrior monster from our deck to our hand by sending an equip spell from our deck to the graveyard. Also, he is a tuner, so he does continue to allow us to climb into better monsters. Moving on, we have 1 Power Tool Dragon. Another one of our crucial combo pieces. This is what we're going to go into in order to search 3 equip spells and add 1 of them to our hand. If we don't already have the Living Fossil, we're going to search 3 Living Fossils. If we already have the Living Fossil, then it allows us to get into something like our Durandal to continue extending our plays even further. Moving on, for our level 8 Synchros, we have Borreload Savage Dragon. This is again one of the negates that we're going to end on. When he's summoned, we can equip 1 linked monster from our graveyard to him, and then place Borrel counters on him equal to that monster's link rating. And each one of those Borrel counters is equal to 1 negate, although he can only use 1 negate per turn. And then he does also gain attack equal to half the attack of the equipped monster. So you usually want to make sure you're equipping whatever your most powerful link monster in your graveyard is. Usually, as a minimum, he'll have 2 negates on him, but sometimes you can get him up to 3 negates. And then for our other level 8, we are playing the 1 Cyframe Lord Omega. This is just an option. You can actually do some cool combos with different Dimension Reincarnation to use his effect to banish 1 card from your opponent's hand, use Reincarnation, bring him back to the board, and then use his effect to banish another card from your opponent's hand, essentially letting them start the game with a 4-card hand instead of a 6-card hand. And then for our last Synchro, it is going to be our Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles. It's one thing with True King of All Calamities being gone is Charles does actually get to shine as a key part of the deck. What Charles does is anytime he is equipped with an equip spell, you get to destroy 1 card on the field once per turn. And then at the end of a turn, you can equip 1 equip spell from your hand or a graveyard to him, and then you can equip 1 Fire Warrior monster from your deck to him as an equip card. So essentially you're going to end your turn on Charles, And then you're going to be equipping cards such as Metal Silver Armor and Infernoble Knight Ogier to create a sort of situation where your opponent cannot target any cards on the field with card effects. Moving on, we have the two Isolde, Two Tales of Noble Knights as our first link monsters. This is what the deck revolves around. You link summon Isolde and then use her ability to send 2 equipped spells from your deck to the graveyard in order to summon out your Secret Six Samurai Gimba and then extend from there. She does also have the ability on summon to add 1 warrior monster from your deck to your hand, but you can't summon or activate the effects of monsters with that name for the rest of a turn, so you have to be careful that what you add is not something you want to bring out later on, like a Immortal Phoenix Gearfried. And also, if you suspect your opponent might have a disruption such as Ghost Ogre, you might be better off skipping that first effect so that she does not accidentally leave the board when you don't need her to. Moving on from there, we have the 1 Crystron Halki Fibrex, or Needle Fiber. When he is summoned, we get to special summon 1 tuner monster from our deck, and then we'll extend from there. Like I said before, the monster we're always going to be looking to summon from here is that Deskbot 001. And keep in mind, even if you open that Deskbot, you can also special summon from hand, so you're never really locked out of your combo if that happens. Moving on, we do play the 1 Barricade Board Blocker. This is just kind of a nice utility card that I chose to put in here, but you can also use this slot for anything else if you would prefer. Like I said, he's just a utility option that I chose to include. Moving on, we have our Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. This is another one of our combo pieces. We're going to go into him with 2 machine monsters, which is going to be our Halki Fibrex plus our Deskbot 001. And when he's summoned, we get to summon 3 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens. And then the primary effect we're going to be looking to use on him is the ability to tribute 2 monsters to special summon 1 Mecha Phantom Beast monster from our deck, which is going to be Coltwing, and we will just continue to extend from there. The important thing to remember here is that he cannot be used as link material the turn he is link summoned, so make sure that you structure your turn in a way to where you are not planning on using him to link off to continue your plays. And then for the last link monster, just kind of another utility option, we do have the Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. She can be link summoned with any 4 effect monsters, but you do also have the ability to use 1 of your opponent's monsters as a link material. So if you're going second and they have something like a link 2 on board, you can actually make her with only 3 of your own monsters, and she cannot be affected by any card effect that does not specifically target her. So she is a great boss monster to end on if you do not have another option. That's going to do it for the links. For our last 2 monsters in the extra deck, we have the 1 Trishula, the Dragon of Icy Imprisonment. He can be summoned by attributing any 3 monsters with different names, and he is a level 9 monster. This is one of the key cards in the True King of All Calamities combos. Now he's just kind of a extra card to allow us to go into the last card in the extra deck in these situations that it does arise. And that last card is going to be Sacred Tree Beast Hyperton. Hyperton takes any 2 level 9 monsters, and then during your turn, when you activate a card or effect, you can target 1 card of the same type in your graveyard and then attach it to him as material. So if you activate a spell card, you get to attach a spell card to him, so on and so forth. And then during your opponent's turn, when they activate a card, you can detach a material of the same type of card to negate that effect. So if you do have a spell card on him, you can detach a spell card to negate a spell card. If you have a monster card, you can detach a monster card to negate a monster effect. It's not the usual card you're going to be ending on, but again, it does give you options. Honestly, there's 2 or 3 spots in your extra deck that are more for flex spots based on how you want your extra deck to go for combos that you're going to set up. So that's going to do it for the deck profile, guys. Really hope you enjoyed this list. I know this is one of my favorite decks to play, and like I said at the start of the video, I think it's actually very explosive right now and can really catch a lot of players off guard. Not a lot of people know what Infernoble Knights can do outside the True King combo, so they may not be prepared to respond to your boards. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what decks you're looking forward to playing this format, what you think of Infernoble Knights right now. And don't forget to go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more great deck profiles and pack openings coming up soon. Alright guys, take care.